Hello, and welcome to this segment of Loving Life. I'm Charlie Silva, board-certified hypnotist and certified professional life coach. I've helped many people take back control of their life and achieve their goals by asking the following question. Loving life, are you loving yours? If so, wonderful. If not, why not? If there's something that is stopping you from loving your life, what is it? And let's find ways to overcome it. If you missed any previous segments of Loving Life, you can watch them online at the MTN18 website, mtn18.com. A friend recently mentioned a very interesting video she viewed online dealing with memory, imagination, and how we experience the passage of time. The information was presented by Dan Gilbert. Dan is a Harvard psychologist who says our beliefs about what will make us happy are often wrong, a premise he supports with intriguing research and explains in his current book, Stumbling on Happiness. The entire video can be viewed at www.ted.com. Now, as Dan describes, at every stage of our lives, we make decisions that will profoundly influence the lives of the people we're going to become. And then, when we become those people, we're not always thrilled with the decisions we made. So young adults pay good money to get tattoos removed that, when they were teenagers, paid good money to get. Middle-aged people rushed to divorce people who, when they were young adults, rushed to marry. Older adults worked hard to lose what, when they were middle-aged adults, worked hard to gain. And on and on and on. Now, as a psychologist, the question that fascinates Dan is, why do we make decisions that our future selves so often regret? He believes one of the reasons we do this to ourselves is that we have a fundamental misconception about the power of time. Every one of you knows that the rate at how things change seems to be experienced differently over the human lifespan. For example, your children seem to change by the minute, but your parents seem to change by the year. But what is the name of this magical point in life where change suddenly seems to go from a gallop to a crawl? Is it teenage years? Is it middle age? Is it old age? The answer, it turns out, for most people, is now, wherever now happens to be. Dan maintains that all of us are walking around with an illusion that history, our personal history, has just come to an end, and that we have just recently become the people that we were always meant to be and will be for the rest of our lives. Now, this may sound unusual, but Dan provides some data to back up that claim. He notes a research study that shows how people's personal values change over time. Several thousand people participated in the study. The researchers asked one half of them to predict how much their values would change in the next 10 years, and the other half of the group was asked to describe how much their values had changed in the previous 10 years. This enabled the research team to do a really interesting kind of analysis, because it allowed them to compare the predictions of people who were 18 years old to the reports of people who were 28 years old, and to do that kind of analysis throughout the lifespan. And here's what the research team found. First of all, change does seem to slow down as we age, but it doesn't slow nearly as much as we think it changes. At every age, from 18 to 68 in the study group, people vastly underestimated how much change they would experience over the next 10 years. Dan calls this the end of history illusion. And it's not just values that change, it's all sorts of other things. For example, personality. Now, many of you know that psychologists now claim that there are 5 fundamental traits or dimensions of personality. The first trait is neuroticism, which is a fundamental personality trait in the study of psychology characterized by anxiety, fear, moodiness, worry, envy, frustration, jealousy, and loneliness. The second trait is openness to experience. The third is being agreeable. The fourth is extroversion. And the fifth trait is conscientiousness. And so the researchers then asked how much the study group, based on the 5 traits, expected to change over the next 10 years, and also how much they had changed over the previous 10 years. What they found again was that the rate of change does seem to slow as we age, but at every age, people underestimate how much their personalities will change in the next decade. And Dan's study notes that changes don't just occur in things like values and personality. You can ask people about their likes and dislikes, their basic preferences. For example, name your best friend, your favorite kind of vacation, what's your favorite hobby, what's your favorite kind of music. People can name these things. The researchers asked half of the study group to tell them, do you think that that will change over the next 10 years? And the other half of the study group to tell them, did that change over the previous 10 years? And what the researchers found was, you guessed it, people predict that the friend they have now is the friend they'll have in 10 years. And the vacation they most enjoy now is the one they'll enjoy in 10 years. And yet, people who are 10 years older all say, well, you know, that's really changed. So regarding the overall results of the study, Dan asks the questions. Does any of this matter? Is this just a form of misprediction that doesn't have consequences? What he found is that it actually matters quite a bit, and he gives an example of why. You see, it matters because it confuses our decision-making in important ways. Bring to mind right now for yourself your favorite musician today and your favorite musician 10 years ago. Is the musician the same one? Very likely it isn't. During the study, the researchers asked the study group to tell them how much money they would pay right now to see their current favorite musician perform in concert 10 years from now. On average, people said they would pay $129 for that ticket. And yet, when the researchers asked the study group how much they would pay to see the person who was their favorite musician 10 years ago perform today, they said only $80. Now, as Dan notes, in a perfectly rational world, these should be the same number. But we overestimate what we feel will be happening in the next 10 years. So why does this happen? Well, Dan is not entirely sure, but it probably has to do with the ease of remembering versus what can be the challenge of imagining. Most of us can remember who we were 10 years ago, but we may find it challenging to imagine who we're going to be. And then we mistakenly think that because it may be a challenge to imagine, it's not likely to happen. Well, when people say, I can't imagine that, they're usually talking about their own challenge with imagining the future, and not about the unlikelihood of the event that they're describing. So the bottom line is, time is a powerful force. It transforms our preferences. It reshapes our values. It alters our personalities. We seem to appreciate this fact, but only in retrospect. Only when we look backwards do we realize how much change happens in a decade. It's as if, for most of us, the present is a magic time. It's the moment at which we finally become ourselves. Human beings are works in progress that mistakenly think they're finished. The person you are right now is as transient, as fleeting, and as temporary as all the people you've ever been. The one constant in our life is change. And from a hypnosis perspective, viewers of Loving Life know that the core of who we are has been programmed into us by the time we were about 7 years old. That core doesn't typically change radically over time unless we choose to change it. Who you consider to be your favorite musician may have changed over the past 10 years, but if you were afraid of spiders 10 years ago, you're very likely to still be afraid of spiders today. The reason is that that particular part of your programming typically requires some effort on your part to change. And as you know, hypnosis is a wonderful tool to help you become the person you truly desire to be, rather than the person you've been programmed to be, regardless of the person you are now. Fascinating, isn't it? Be sure to check my website for upcoming Take Back Control of Your Life workshops. The workshops are free of charge. If you have goals you'd like to achieve but have been unable to do so, attending one of my workshops may be all you need to take back control of your life. Well, I'm sure I've given you some things, positive things, to think about. Send any questions or comments you have to me at charlie@mtn18.com, and I'll answer them in future segments of Loving Life. I'm Charlie Silva, and I'm asking you, loving life, are you loving yours? If so, wonderful. If not, why not? If there's something that is stopping you from loving your life, what is it? And let's find ways to overcome it. Always remember that you are awesome. Have a wonderful day filled with love and gratitude.